There's a character in Joseph Heller's Catch-22, Chief White Halfoat, whose family was forcibly moved to a reservation by the U.S. government. Can you imagine? And then the government found oil on that land, so they kicked them off. And when the government found oil on the land that they'd moved to, they kicked them off the land again. Pretty soon the government started following Chief White Halfoat's family to wherever they moved, so they could kick them off the land and drill for oil. Well, there's another guy in history, a real guy, whose story is a little bit like that. Not a lot, but a little bit, and that should be enough for you. I don't know, what you expect. It's trustworthy again, whether you like it or not, with another vital historical fact and an obligatory plug for my new book, Son of a Bitch, about a guy who's stuck with a dysfunctional family, but he meets a woman who knows how to deal with dysfunctional families. And there are sexy bits. Wilmer McLean was too old to fight in the American Civil War, so he figured he'd just sit this one out and enjoy a quiet life. And frankly, the Civil War would have been a good war to sit out. Well, I did. Except McLean lived just outside the town of Manassas Junction, where the Civil War started. In fact, one of the first battles was fought on his property. So he's sitting there minding his own beeswax, chuckling to himself about how lucky he is to avoid the war, and wham, the war shows up on his front doorstep. And it all continued to be a pain in the ass for him for months until he finally realized the whole war thing was getting on his nerves, and he decided to get the fuck out of there. So he moved his family south, someplace where he might find some peace and quiet. Maybe go fishing, whittle, open up a pastry shop. Okay, he didn't really open up a pastry shop. That was pure speculation on my part, based on an abundance of personal ignorance and bullshittery. So where did he move to? The little-known town of Appomattox. Then a battle broke out there. Well, finally, the Union Army commandeered McLean's farmhouse to serve as the setting for signing the surrender. Ulysses Grant and Robert E. Lee shook hands and signed the surrender in McLean's living room, which you'd think is pretty cool. They signed it. It's a historic thing and everything. Well, you'd be dead wrong again. After the ceremony, Yankee soldiers continually ransacked his place for souvenirs. Grant's officers made off with a set of chairs, and General George Armstrong Custer absconded with the desk that was used to sign the surrender. McLean was financially ruined, and all of his possessions were gone. He was forced to sell the home and find work as a federal tax collector, which might have been worse than getting killed in the war. Pissed off about it all, he would later claim that the war began in my front yard and ended in my front parlor. So what can we take away as the moral of this story? I don't know, but Catch-22 is a wonderful book, and my cousin Carl's an idiot.